Most people think making more money is about having more resources, connections, or luck, but the truth is it begins inside your mind. If your thinking is limited, your income will be too. If your belief system is broken, your financial life will always be under pressure. The rich don't just work hard, they think differently. They train their minds every single day to find solutions, take action, and seize the opportunities that others are too blind to see. It's not about being born into wealth, it's about preparing your thoughts for it. When I started, I had no money, no experience, no support. What I had was a mind that refused to give up. I was hungry to learn, hungry to change, hungry to grow. And the truth is, your hunger can take you farther than your background ever could. But you must train your mind to think rich even when you are broke. You must train your focus to stay on the solution, not the problem. You must train your attitude to remain humble while still thinking like a giant. Money follows value, and value begins with the way you think. Today, if you decide to think like a problem solver, a learner, a leader, and an investor, you're not just preparing to make more money. You're building a mindset that can never be poor again. Let's break down the 4 key ways to train your mind for more wealth. Most people live in a cycle of trading time for money, never questioning the rules they were handed by the world. They believe that the more hours they work, the more they will earn. So they work harder, stretch their time thinner, and still find themselves stuck in the same financial struggle year after year. But here's the truth that few dare to realize: the truly wealthy do not sell their time, they sell value. And the mind that understands this begins to break the chains of mediocrity. If you train your mind to think in terms of value instead of hours, your entire relationship with money changes forever. Imagine someone who works from dawn to dusk, barely taking a break, always busy. The world praises their work ethic, but busyness does not always equal productivity. A machine can run endlessly, but if it's making the wrong product, it's just wasting resources. The same goes for human effort. If you are spending your life trying to make ends meet by working longer and harder, you're using an outdated model. The question is not how long you work, but how effectively. What are you producing? What are you solving? What are you offering that others find useful, unique, and urgent? Value is not measured in minutes. It is measured in impact. When you focus your mind on solving a problem, you tap into the core reason people are willing to spend money. They want solutions. They want their pain gone, their process easier, their results better. If you can become someone who delivers those solutions, money will flow to you naturally. The greatest shift begins when you stop thinking like an employee who waits for the clock to run out and start thinking like a creator who designs outcomes. A creator doesn't ask, "What's the task?" They ask, "What's the transformation I can offer?" Let's take a simple example. 2 people are in the same industry. One offers services at a fixed rate, tied to time. The other offers a package that solves a specific problem. One gets paid by the hour, the other gets paid for the outcome. Who do you think earns more in the long run? The one who creates transformation, not the one who clocks in hours. You see, the moment your mind begins to think this way, you start finding ways to increase your worth, not by adding more to your schedule, but by increasing your value in the market. Your value increases when your mindset becomes focused on excellence. Excellence is rare, and rarity commands higher rewards. So, if you train yourself to deliver more value in every action, conversation, and project, you automatically rise above the average. People remember those who go the extra mile, those who simplify chaos, those who bring calm to confusion. These people are magnets for money because they're not chasing it, they're attracting it through the value they create. This is why the richest people often have the freest schedules, because their money is not tied to time, it's tied to systems, solutions, and significance. Training your mind to think this way also demands that you let go of the scarcity mindset. Scarcity says, "I must take every job to survive." Value thinking says, "I will choose the right opportunities where I can deliver the most impact." Scarcity fears raising prices. Value understands that charging more is not greed. It's alignment with the worth being offered. Scarcity clings to routine. Value builds innovation. Scarcity counts hours. Value counts breakthroughs. The journey from time to value is not an overnight leap. It's a series of decisions. It starts with asking better questions. What skill can I master that solves high-level problems? What pain point can I fix for others? How can I position myself as a person of solutions, not just tasks? What can I build that works for me even when I sleep? The moment these questions dominate your thinking, you're already rewriting your financial destiny. And remember, the world is changing fast. AI, automation, digital platforms, these are removing jobs that simply trade time. But they are also opening doors for those who think in terms of value. If you train your mind now to create things that matter, to serve with purpose, and to solve with excellence, you are building a future that no machine can replace. You become irreplaceable not because of how much you work, but because of how deeply you impact. So the next time you feel stuck, don't ask, how can I earn more per hour? Ask, how can I create something so valuable that people want it without asking the price? That's the real secret. Train your mind to seek value, deliver value, and live by value. Then watch how money begins to chase you. From the moment we are born, we are surrounded by silent programming. It comes from our families, our teachers, our environment, our culture. We hear things like, money doesn't grow on trees, rich people are greedy, or it's selfish to want more. These phrases are not facts, they are beliefs repeated often enough to sound like truth. And unless you question them, they take root deep in your subconscious, controlling your actions without your permission. If you truly want to make more money, the work does not start in your wallet, it starts in your mind. You must reprogram your beliefs about wealth, or else, no matter how hard you try, you'll always find a way to sabotage your own success. There are people in this world who work day and night, never taking a break, and still live paycheck to paycheck. Not because they're lazy, not because they're not trying, but because somewhere deep inside they believe they don't deserve wealth. They believe making money is a struggle. They believe that success only comes to a few lucky ones. And as long as they carry those beliefs, they create the reality that matches them. The outer world is simply a mirror reflecting the inner one. If your inner conversation about money is full of fear, guilt, or shame, then your financial life will be filled with stress, delay, and scarcity. That's why the mind must be trained like a garden. You can't grow roses in a soil full of weeds. You can't grow wealth in a mind full of fear. Start by becoming aware of what you believe about money. Do you believe it's hard to earn? That it's not spiritual to want more? That success will make people envy or leave you? These thoughts are hidden walls in your mental house. They keep opportunities out even when you're knocking on every door. Reprogramming means removing those walls brick by brick and replacing them with beliefs that empower, not limit. You must begin to see wealth as good, not evil, as possibility, not pressure, as expansion, not corruption. Money is not the enemy. It is a tool. And like any tool, it depends on the hands that use it. In the hands of the kind, it builds schools. In the hands of the wise, it builds empires that solve real problems. In the hands of the loving, it feeds thousands. But if your mind sees money only as something that corrupts, then your subconscious will protect you from it. That protection will look like procrastination, fear, confusion, or self-doubt, and you won't even realize why you keep falling short. So speak differently about money. Think differently about money. Train your mind to say money comes to me through value I create instead of money is hard to earn. Train it to say the more I grow, the more I earn instead of I'm just not lucky like others. Affirm with conviction. Wealth is a reflection of my growth, not my greed. Your brain listens, your spirit listens, and over time, those new beliefs become your new reality. This reprogramming also means surrounding yourself with new energy. People who talk abundance, not limitation. Books that teach expansion, not fear. Stories that inspire action, not excuses. Every voice you listen to either waters your growth or poisons it. Be ruthless in choosing your environment. If the people around you always complain about money, they are reinforcing poverty in your thinking. If you consume content that glorifies suffering and mocks success, your mind will learn to feel guilty for even wanting more. Cut it off. Replace it. Guard your mental space like a treasure vault. You also need to forgive your past financial mistakes. Forgive your family if they raised you in lack. They were repeating what they knew. Forgive yourself for wasted years. Guilt keeps the mind in chains, but forgiveness opens the gate. When you release shame, you make room for confidence, and confidence is magnetic. The mind that believes it is worthy of wealth starts making decisions that align with wealth. It stops playing small, it starts moving with purpose. It doesn't chase, it creates. No matter where you start, no matter how broken your relationship with money once was, you can begin today to rewrite your script. Say out loud, I choose new beliefs. I am worthy of abundance. I am open to wealth in all its forms. I will use it to grow, to give, and to lead. Say it until your heart believes it. Say it until your hands act on it. Say it until your results prove it. The mind is the master key. If you change what you believe about wealth, wealth itself will change how it appears in your life. You don't need to chase money. You need to invite it. And that invitation begins with belief. In a world that is changing faster than ever, the one who survives is not the strongest or even the smartest. It is the one who adapts. The same rule applies to money. You can no longer rely on a single income or one outdated skill to carry you through life. If you want to train your mind to make more money, you must develop the kind of skills that multiply income, not just maintain it. Skills that can create money out of ideas. Skills that solve problems, lead people, attract attention, and turn thoughts into action. This is the difference between someone who earns once and someone who earns repeatedly in different ways across different seasons. The biggest mistake most people make is waiting for someone to teach them or for some perfect opportunity to arise. But those who make real money don't wait, they learn, they explore, they experiment, they build, because they understand that the marketplace pays for value, and value comes from ability. If you only know how to follow instructions, your income will always be limited by someone else's imagination. But if you develop the ability to think, lead, persuade, and create, then the ceiling disappears. You become your own opportunity. Think about the skills that dominate today's world: communication, sales, storytelling, marketing, digital tools, financial literacy. These are not taught in school. These are learned by the hungry. These are mastered by the focused. Someone who knows how to communicate persuasively can sell an idea, a product, a vision, or a movement. Someone who understands marketing can take an invisible service and turn it into a brand. Someone who knows how money works can multiply every dollar instead of spending it unconsciously. These skills don't just increase income, they build power. And the beautiful part is, every skill is learnable. You don't need to be born with talent. You need to be obsessed with growth. You need to be committed to practicing, failing, adjusting, and trying again. The first time you record a video, it may be awkward. The first time you pitch an idea, you might hear no. The first time you launch a product, it might flop. But that's not failure. That is the tuition for success. Every skill you now admire in others was once a weakness they trained. They weren't born confident. They became confident through action. They weren't born wealthy. They became wealthy through focused learning. You must treat your mind like an investment account. Every new skill you learn adds compound interest to your future. And unlike physical labor, skill-based income doesn't fade with age. It grows. A doctor earns from medical knowledge. A copywriter earns from persuasive words. A designer earns from creativity. A strategist earns from vision. An investor earns from understanding value. Pick your skill lane and master it like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. The marketplace doesn't care where you come from. It cares what you can do. The question is, what can you offer right now that the world will pay for? You must also understand the difference between high leverage skills and low leverage skills. A low leverage skill earns you money once. A high leverage skill earns you money over and over again. Teaching, coding, branding, public speaking, system building, these are high leverage skills. They allow you to do work once and get paid many times through royalties, licensing, or scalable impact. When you master these, your money stops being tied to your time, and that is the ultimate freedom. Most people work harder for survival, but the wealthy train smarter for leverage. They don't chase money, they build machines that attract it. They focus on skills that allow them to step back while the system works for them. And the only way to enter that world is to upgrade your abilities. Not in theory, but in practice. Start learning today what the future will pay for tomorrow. Don't just learn to get a job, learn to solve problems. Learn to serve a need, learn to stand out. Learn to sell your mind, not your minutes. When you wake up tomorrow, ask yourself, what new skill can I practice today? What challenge can I accept that will make me better? What fear can I face that will grow my confidence? You are not stuck. You are simply untrained. But training is a choice. And the mind, once trained to multiply money through skills, becomes unstoppable. No economy, no government, no background can hold back the person who holds high-income skills, because that person is the economy. That person becomes the system. That person builds value from nothing. Money doesn't go to the one who works the longest. It goes to the one who solves the most. Train your mind to become a person who solves, who serves, who scales. And you will not only make more money, you'll never be afraid of losing it again, because your wealth won't be in your bank account. It will be in your brain. The greatest enemy of wealth is not poverty, it is fear. Fear of failing, fear of losing, fear of looking foolish. Most people want to make more money, but they are mentally stuck at the edge of comfort. They think about starting a business, investing, speaking up, or trying something new, but then they freeze. They ask themselves, what if I lose everything? What if people laugh at me? What if I'm not ready? These are not just harmless thoughts, they are chains. And unless you train your mind to take calculated risks, you'll remain in the same place while the world moves forward without you. The mind that is trained for success understands that progress requires pressure. Growth does not happen in safety. Every level of success you admire today came from a moment of risk yesterday. Behind every story of triumph is a moment where someone had to make a bold move. They had to apply for that job they thought they weren't qualified for. They had to pitch that idea with shaking hands. They had to invest that money they were afraid to lose. They had to leave something safe for something uncertain. And in doing so, they unlocked a new dimension of themselves and of wealth. Taking calculated risks is not the same as gambling. It doesn't mean acting blindly or without preparation. It means thinking, analyzing, then moving with courage even when comfort says no. The mistake people make is waiting for everything to be perfect before they act. They wait for the right time, the right support, the right signs, but perfection is the enemy of execution. The mind that is trained for wealth knows that good enough today is better than perfect someday. It acts before it feels ready. It understands that motion creates clarity, action reveals opportunity, and even failure reveals the next best step. Think of every successful person you admire. What separates them is not just intelligence, it's boldness. They have trained their mind to see risk as a doorway, not a wall. They understand that loss is not the end, it's just feedback. When something doesn't work, they don't take it personally. They study it, they learn from it, they try again, smarter. And every time they face discomfort, they grow thicker skin, sharper vision, and deeper wisdom. Risk becomes a teacher, failure becomes a forge, fear becomes fuel. Now consider the opposite. The one who avoids all risk lives in quiet desperation. They dream big but act small. They plan but never launch. They talk but never move. And slowly their confidence shrinks. Their belief in themselves fades. They begin to accept limitations as reality. They settle, but that's not life. That's survival. If you want to truly live, you must bet on yourself. Not once, not when it's easy, but consistently. Every time life gives you the choice between staying the same or stepping into growth, choose the latter. That is how the wealthy think. That is how they win. The good news is, courage is a muscle. And like any muscle, it gets stronger the more you use it. Start with small risks. Speak when you'd usually stay silent. Post that idea online. Call that client. Raise your prices. Try a new skill. Invest in your education. Every time you act despite fear, you train your mind to believe that risk is survivable. And once your mind sees that nothing bad happens when you try, it begins to crave challenge instead of avoiding it. That's when everything changes. Another key to taking calculated risks is surrounding yourself with people who do the same. Fear is contagious, but so is boldness. Spend time with those who push boundaries, who bet on themselves, who fail and rise higher. Their mindset will rub off on you. Their stories will silence your doubts, and their courage will activate your own. You don't have to walk alone, but you do have to walk forward. When you understand that nothing great ever came from staying safe, you begin to look at risk differently. You no longer ask, what if it doesn't work? You ask, what if this is the step that changes everything? That's the question that moves mountains. That's the question that creates fortunes. That's the question that transforms a life. You are capable of more than you know, but you'll never know it until you stretch, until you leap, until you try. Money, success, freedom, they are not given to the fearful. They are earned by the bold. So train your mind to take smart, consistent, and courageous risks. Because on the other side of that risk is the version of you who already has everything you've been praying for,